Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's in Your Head podcast.
Digitized live from
your company name here.
Studios in Cape Coral, Florida. It's the What's in Your Head podcast.
What's up, OG5? Welcome to another episode of the What's in Your Head podcast. You guys want to hear the two takes that just happened prior to this because, well, I'm sick and I'm losing my goddamn mind. But we have not a sponsor per se, but a partnership. A few weeks ago, Morgan and I were talking about our friends over at a vendor that we partner up with on our website who sent me some gear, which, as we discussed last week, resulted in that funny little meme of myself, which is our friends over at 1791 Everyday Carry. Myself and Dennis were talking about this on the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast this week, so I'm going to ask you guys too the same question because you are similar rugged-ass men, and this question with what you do for a living will work just fine. Morgan, name two items that you carry in your pockets every day that become cumbersome.
A pen, and I have a pen, a flashlight, and a pocket knife that I always carry.
And how about you, Mike?
And
razor knife, usually on a regular. And if I was going to, that's really the only thing that I do carry. But if I was going to carry something else, probably a mini flashlight.
And the worst part about carrying those items is one of two things. Either you have jeans on that fit, and so those things stab you in the legs, or you have pants on that are too big. And so when you sit in your truck, you get rolled, and all your crap falls out of your pockets and in between your seat and your console. Then you got to get out and dig underneath there, dig between 3-month-old French fries and that weird tater tot, even though you haven't eaten a tater tot since 1985. But for some reason, there's a tater tot underneath your seat, and you got to find those items. But worst case scenario, if you have a new car, then this don't apply to Morgan because he drives a 1983 square body Chevy. But if you have a newer car, you get that white lithium grease all over the back of your hand because they have it underneath the seat to make it smooth, real nice. You know, Morgan, you have like a bench seat, right? That thing doesn't even move by like a quarter of an inch.
Oh no, I've got buckets in a console.
Oh, he upgraded he pulled some bucket seats out of a 1995 Chevy S10. But anyhow, our friends over at 1791 EDC, after I did my pictures and videos and I fulfilled my obligation for the stuff they sent me, they were so happy with the last video I did. They said, well, anything else we can do for you? And I said, yes, we are always looking for vendors to provide us quality stuff to give away to our patrons, our Patreon members. And they said, sure, we'll send you a box. And boy, howdy did they.
Boy, howdy.
I got the box in the mail when I was out sick, showed up at my office. And I was showing you guys this. My everyday carry. I have my Kmart folder, and I got my Glock magazine. And so they sent me some items. They sent me 3 items. They sent me the everyday carry standard action snap-on small flex, which is basically what I just showed you guys here. They sent me another one, a burgundy one, nice and pretty. So it's the same as this, which if you guys carry multi-tools, flashlights, what have you, that thing is a value of $49.95. They sent me this cool guy. This is the Everyday Carry Standard Easy Slide Canted Solo. Basically, you can put this on your belt and put your Leatherman in there, your multi-tool, flashlight, whatever. This guy's a value of $24.99. And then they also sent me one of these originally. It's to replace that hard plastic cumbersome money clip, and also has a pocket for a flashlight and any other items. They sent another one of those right here, included in a nice leather keychain. So total value, of over $100. Send me a total value of $100. And what we're going to do is we're going to pass this on to one lucky winner of our Patreon. All you have to do is subscribe. Go to what'sinyourhead.com or d-410.com. Sign up and subscribe for any one of the 3 tiers. Doesn't matter if it's the $1 tier, the $7.50 tier, or the $3 tier. At the end of October, we want to give everybody plenty of time to sign up. So it's September now. At the end of October, we'll draw a name on this podcast, and the winner will win all 3 of those. And so that's a great prize, over $100 value. All you have to do is sign up and subscribe, which you want to anyhow, to help support the cause of what we do here. So thanks to our friends over at Everyday Carry 1791, or technically, thanks to our friends over at 1791 Everyday Carry. You can find more information by going to d-410.com or what'sinyourhead.com and click on the 1791edc.com logo on the right-hand side. And by doing that through our website, it'll let them know that we sent you. And since our original relationship with them, their parent company, 1791 Gun Leather, has created a relationship with us. So, maybe you don't work in the field, maybe you don't have multi-tools, things in your pocket, but you carry a firearm and you're looking for a new holster for your firearm or your magazines or what have you. You can also go to our website, what'sinyourhead.com, click on the 1791 Gun Leather link, and that'll take you to their website and purchase a holster or anything that suits your firearm needs. Thanks to them for supporting the show. It's been a long 4 or 5 days. Still got the cough. So we live here in Southwest Florida, and we had a very sad thing happen 2 weeks ago now. A young 21-year-old woman by the name of Ariel went for a run on a Wednesday night and vanished. And the story went national. Picked up on all the big news. New York Post covered it. Daily Mail covered it. And as details started to come out on Facebook, it went from looking nefarious to, one of the worst case scenarios. You always hear about, women runners getting, horrible things happen to them. Don't even want to speculate. But we've all heard the stories of women running in Central Park or wherever. The worst case scenario happening to them. And for the public and those of us out of the loop, that was kind of where we were kind of heading, right? But as the story started developing on Facebook, her family reached out and said, hey, we're concerned she ran away. She's hiding from us because she had been suffering from some mental health issues, and she has agreed. And I'm not saying anything out of school. This is all stuff they posted publicly on Facebook, so I'm not saying anything out of school. She agreed to start going to therapy, but we haven't heard from her or talked to her. And the authorities released the last known photo of her, which was her running. It was a video from the traffic camera on Edison Bridge in North Fort Myers, looking towards downtown Fort Myers, and you see her running onto the bridge, and that's the last they've seen of her. And over time, the next few days, all the run groups around here started, looking for her, and families looking for her, and I'm like, well, why don't they just look at her Strava? They got pictures of her running 5Ks, 10Ks. She's training for a marathon. I'm like, well, just look at her Strava, see where her Strava went. And Carrie's like, well, she left her phone at home. I'm like, what? She went out running, but she left her phone at home? For those you don't know, if you have a Garmin watch, when you run, this uses GPS, but it doesn't track you in real time. Once you're done running, you hit save, then it synchronizes with your phone, and then your phone synchronizes the Strava. So if you don't have your phone with you, even if you have a GPS tracking watch on you, unless I'm sure they could have pulled warrants and contacted Garmin if she would have had a running watch and gone that route. But over the quickness of this whole thing escalating. And so Carrie was looking into this stuff. I was aware of it and I posted the story, but I hadn't been keeping up with it. And Carrie was telling me, well, she left her cell phone at home according to her family. And then Carrie showed me, here's the last video they seen of her running over the bridge. I'm like, they have video of her running onto the bridge? She said, yeah. Now, for those of you who listened to this podcast for a while, I talked that I made that run twice from here in Cape Coral to the Starbucks in downtown Fort Myers and back. Well, I run over that Edison Bridge. That's the same route. I go down Pondella up 41, and so I ran that same route. And I've run that bridge I've ran Edison Bridge probably 100 times in the last 5 or 6 years, including 2 races. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense that they have video of her going onto the bridge but not coming off the bridge. She's like, well, no one said they don't have video of her coming off the bridge. They just haven't released it. I said, well, if they would have it, they would release it. Otherwise, you would think the worst case scenario. And I'm like, to run that route, you go over the bridge, and coming down, you pick up speed. You have 2 options. 2 logistical make sense options. One, you hang a right on the first street, which she would have clearly been picked up by the surveillance cameras from the big white condo there that they just rebuilt. Or you keep going straight and go 2 blocks, you're going to be at the corner of MLK and 41, which they would have picked you up on cameras there too. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, this sucks. She clearly jumped off the bridge. Family's reporting mental health issues. She left her phone at home. They got video of her going onto the bridge but not coming off the bridge. Long story short, 3 days later, they found her body in the water. Sheriff's confirmed there's no indication of third-party interaction. Family confirmed she'd been suffering from mental health issues. All counts, it looks like she jumped off the bridge. So the running community here in Southwest Florida came together, and run groups from Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Estero, Gateway, they all came down, and I went down there last Thursday, and the video's up on my YouTube channel. I'm only in it once. It wasn't about me. It was about the run. The only time you see me is I'm explaining who all showed up. And it was cool to have 150 people running. We ran from Centennial Park up over the bridge and back. But you guys were both in boot camp. You guys had to run a lot. You know, when you run with a large crowd, way to motivate people, a lot of cheering, let's go. You know, you've got to run and turn around. Somebody's there, come on, come on, come on. You know, you got that, you know, that loud camaraderie. And if you ever go to a 5K or you ever run in a run group, it's, you know, you run past people. Well, obviously, this is a very somber run. So we went down there, had the moment of silence. Wink News was down there, and we're all running, but it's super quiet, kind of eerie, as you would expect it to be. But we got a little weird just because people don't know why we're down there running. Not everybody watches the news. Not everybody's runners up to date what's going on. So as we ran away from the collection point, we're heading down First Street. We run by groups of people, and they just saying, here's 150 people running. Clearly there's a race. And so, yeah, you start cheering, which felt a little out of place, but you understand, hey, they don't know what's going on. I gotta say, man, it was kind of surreal to be running over this bridge that we all knew that this poor young lady jumped off of 4 days ahead of time prior to us being there. And it was a very, very somber moment. I'm glad I did it. It was nice to see the running community come out and, you know, make aware that there are options out there, that, you know, there's places to go, people to call. And not to get too deep into all this, but I posted a couple of stories that are about 4 or 5 years old on Fail to Fail about 2 months ago, long before this ever happened. And it's an interesting article talking about how endurance athletes, ultra marathon runners, people who run 150, 200 miles, marathon runners, people who go, you know, ride these long distance bike rides, people who do these adventure races, people who tend to do hobbies that cause physical pain for long periods of time, that they find an alarming percentage of them have suffered some sort of childhood trauma that results in depression in their adult life. There's just, I guess maybe it's the fact that they're putting themselves through that sort of pain, that there is a correlation that they, through study, they can see that people who participate in these type of events have, you know, they suffer more than your football player or basketball player or volleyball player with depression and are victims of some sort of childhood abuse. And so it was nice to kind of get the word out there about mental health amongst the run community and all that. And so I was glad I did that. And the reason I bring all this up is, as you can hear the sound of my voice, as I previously said, I ran this 2 miles 100 times before. I get like a quarter mile down the road and I start getting winded. I start getting pains up my legs, up my foot. But I just stopped and I said, well, I'm here to film anyhow. So I just stopped and filmed, and it took me like, I don't know, 38 minutes to run this 2 miles. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? And I said, well, clearly I've been overtraining. I've been running, you know, I'll run one night, and if I'm not running 4 or 5 miles, and the next night I'm putting on my 18-pound plated vest and then my 18-pound ruck, and I'm walking 3 miles around my neighborhood plus lifting weights. And I've just clearly been overtraining. I've only had 2 rest days in the last week. It's the only thing I could think of why I can't do this run. That was on Thursday. And I was driving home, feeling just like question, like, well, what the fuck am I doing? You know, I've been doing all this fitness. I can't do a 2-mile run without being at the back of all these people. Woke up the next morning, my throat was killing me. And my head was just felt like I was swelling up. You know, you ever get that head cold where you just feel like you want to put a hole in and drain your sinuses because the pressure's so tight? Well, my boss had just gotten over sickness because, as I said, I think on the last episode, when you guys were talking about me brown nose my boss, I explained that he was in Detroit. Well, he brought back some creepy crud with him from Detroit and apparently passed it on to me. And so the reason turns out that I hit the wall on this run is I think I'm sick. Don't know if it's probably COVID. I don't know. But anyhow, I've just been dealing with this freaking head cold since last Friday. So I woke up Friday, went to work. My boss like, it's slow, go home. I said, well, I'll just work from home if I'll my laptop and answer tickets. If you need me, hit me up on Teams. I got in bed Friday, stayed in bed all day Saturday, got up, I think, drove to McDonald's, driving in the car, AC blast, and I just got sweat rolling down my back, feel it in your ass cracks. Just like my whole body's just sweating. Went back home, stayed in bed all day Saturday, woke up, went to work Monday, ended up going home, working from home again, stayed home yesterday, went back to work today. I feel better-ish. I still got the cough, the bad voice, and the stuffy head, but crazy thing is my boss is going out of town again on Monday. So I told him, I said, well, you just got healthy enough now that you're going to get on a plane, get sick again, and then in 2 weeks from now, at the end of the month, I'm flying to Kentucky. So by the time I get this shit out of my system, I'm going to be sitting on a plane full of recirculated disease and get sick again. So for the next month or so, he and I are going to be passing off diseases like two high school kids passing off fucking, oh crap. See, this is COVID brain. Mono, thank you. Passing off mono from making out with all the dirty girls at school. So yeah, it's like back and forth. So, so my head is just like, boo. So how you all doing? How you all doing?
I'm good. It's today is my 31st wedding anniversary.
I was gonna say, don't try to say it's your 31st birthday because you're way older than that.
Oh shit, no. I'm almost on my second go round of being 31. So
you'll be the first person on Digital 410 Media that's eligible for Social Security.
I'll probably drop out long before I get there.
Well, you already got your AARP card, so that's the only thing you have left to look forward to.
They actually do send me stuff all the time. I would never join that. I'd probably join AMAC instead. But
see, if we lived in Ohio,
to admit that yet.
If we lived in Ohio, you'd be eligible for the Golden Buckeye card, so that when you went to a place such as Waffle House, you'd be eligible for the senior discount.
All right.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I'm still good with paying full price. So I got a few years yet before I'm willing to take a senior discount.
So you're saying the price of your pride is not worth $4 off your Bob Evans meal?
Yeah. I'd rather spend the $4.
$4?
Well, you still get military discounts, so there's your $4 right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And I actually didn't utilize that for a very long time.
I didn't either.
It's probably been in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
That I started, wrapping my head around. It's okay to, take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I actually almost got an Article 15 because I wouldn't wear a ribbon because I didn't feel that I earned it. So,
really?
I got a National Defense ribbon for serving during Desert Storm.
Right.
And I didn't go anywhere or do anything. So it came time for our Christmas, get together. And of course, got to be in Class A. So they go through with your service record and make sure that you're wearing all the ribbons that you're supposed to. And they're like, hey, you're missing this medal. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And they drug me, through the chain of command all the way up to the colonel. And I said, hey, go ahead, sir. Give me the Article 15 because I'm not doing it. I said, we've got guys in this unit that, went to Kuwait and, got shot at and, did something to actually earn it. I said, I think it's an insult to them.
Yeah.
That I got this. So, I didn't because my service looks so much different than what I believed it should look like.
Yeah.
I didn't take advantage of a lot of stuff that I probably should have over the years.
Right. My my service was like that too. I was actually in training. Where was I? I was in Missouri, and I got another set of blues, and we were putting all of our stuff on it, the basics and all that stuff. And I had actually gotten one. It's a global war on terrorism,
Mm-hmm.
and I got that. Um, I don't remember. I don't remember how I got that, or I just know it was on my service record. And
Yeah, because it's the
nobody
same.
ever awarded it to me or gave it to me or anything. Like it was just there. And
Is it a
it was
Yeah,
unit?
that was the
interesting.
same thing with me. I
Yeah,
got the Desert Storm
yeah,
service medal,
right,
and just because I was on active duty during Desert Storm,
exactly. And
and
I had
I
gotten that.
wouldn't wear that one either.
Right. I had gotten the global war on terrorism, and I put that on mine because I thought I was supposed to. And I actually had NCOs come in and go, "Why do you have that, as part of your ribbons?" And I was like, it's on my paperwork. And they were like, "Well, that doesn't make any sense." And I was like, "Well, you'd have to look at my paperwork." So they did, and they found it, and they went, "Wow, that's weird. You're like one of the only ones in training right now that has one of those ribbons." And they were thinking it was a mistake or something like that, but I don't know. I ended up getting it and
Mike, so
don't know
trust
how
me,
I got it, and that was it.
I would have
Huh?
preferred not to have to buy the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a few awards and medals that I got that I don't think I deserved, but I they're on my freaking character service record or whatever the hell it is, or biographical sketch,
Mm-hmm.
as awards that I won through my unit, and I guess they're supposed to be on my uniform. So
Well, it's interesting to hear that come from two modern day military personnel, because for
yeah.
those of us who watch Band of Brothers, there's that famous scene where they're in the bar after D-Day, and
Hmm.
Cobb's giving grief to the new replacements because they have the presidential unit citation
Yep.
above their pocket. He's like, "You guys, what do you have that for? You didn't earn that."
Yeah, you didn't earn
And
it.
they took it off because and then Bull Ranneman came over and said, "What are you talking about, Cobb? You didn't earn it either." He's like, "I was on D-Day." He's like, "You never jumped." He's like, "I got hit in the plane." He's like, "You still never jumped." And so he
Yeah.
kind of gave him grief, and he took it off too. So it's interesting to hear you guys say that as being, as you weren't griefed into not wearing it. You guys were told to wear it, even though you felt. In Morgan's case, I don't deserve this, and in Mike's case, it's like, why is this even on my record?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to
Yeah.
hear you guys say that.
Same with him too. Like I was mission ready to go, but I never went anywhere and did anything. And I struggled with a lot of that, being an actual veteran and stuff like that, because I didn't fucking do anything,
Do you think
you know.
do you think that policy was put in place originally, not nowadays with computers, but originally for simplicity of bookkeeping for the military from back in the day when all this stuff was done via typewriter? And instead of saying, okay, out of this battalion, these 400 guys get it, these 200 guys don't, these guys, just screw it, give it to the whole unit, so it's just easier for the bookkeeping part of it?
Well,
Well,
I
that's what unit citations are about for sure.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. When your unit gets a medal, everybody gets it,
Yeah.
as opposed to
Even if you weren't there
individuality.
because you just got assigned to that unit last week, you're still going to get it because your unit was there.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you
So,
didn't like, I didn't get any of the medals that, like, my unit had deployed in 2006, 2007. I didn't get with them until, I want to say, 2010 or 11. So I wasn't actually assigned to that. So I didn't get any of the medals that they got during that campaign or anything like that. But while I was with them, anything that they had earned was given to me too. So whether I did anything or not,
Your
and there
defense,
were certain aspects of my unit that actually did some stuff. There were certain guys that deployed when we didn't, as a unit didn't go. Like individually, they would go deploy with another unit because they needed an extra driver or they needed, a fueler or something like that. If they had a specialty and they were short for some other unit, they'd pull from other units to go with them. So there was quite a few guys that did that.
Your defense medal, was that the actual medal or just the ribbon, Morgan?
It Well, it was just the ribbon on, on the Class A,
Yeah.
on the mortar board.
What's the color scheme on that? Was it still the yellow with the red stripe, or they change it for each campaign? So. I guess my question is because in my shadow box I have the World War II equivalent of that, which is the yellow ribbon with the red stripe, and then like the woman with the sword or whatever. Is the defense ribbon still the same for every campaign?
Yeah.
And then you get he got the Global War on Terror ribbon. I got the Desert Storm campaign ribbon.
Yeah.
Which I don't remember what that. I think that's green and.
Yeah,
I've got one somewhere.
That was basically you served during that time. That was the same reason why I was told that I got mine, was that I joined and I served while there was an active war going on. Mm-hmm. So that was something that I like. So like now they wouldn't get that because it's not an active war anymore. So that's no longer
right. But the thing that I realized, and it took me years to figure it out, is that they say the Army crawls on its belly.
Yeah.
So, if you're a cook, you're doing your part for the effort. Part of what I did was I commissioned and decommissioned equipment going to and coming back from overseas.
Right.
So, I think a lot of guys have a picture of, unless you're on the front line chewing dirt, somehow your service is less than. Now, I will never, ever in a million years claim to be a combat veteran because I'm not.
Right.
And that would take away from the guys that actually went and did it. So, but that doesn't make my service less important. It just makes it different.
Yeah, and that's something that service members struggle with. I struggled with that. You struggled with that even. I've never felt like I've talked with, Ron about this quite a bit because he served in tours over in Afghanistan. I've talked to a good friend of mine.
He was 82nd, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he was 82nd Airborne.
But between him and then my other buddy, who I didn't ever serve with Ron, but my other buddy, I served with him. He's done multiple tours to Afghanistan. I don't know if he's been to Iraq, but to Afghanistan, and even talking with him, it's like you still signed your name on the dotted line, regardless of what you couldn't control your military career. Your NCOs, your units, your battalions, all that, going up, even, federally and in some cases state, those things, that's all controlled by them. So you have, you can request to get deployed if you want to, if you're fucking crazy enough to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know there are guys that have been deployed that were scared shitless that, that's all they want to do now. They want it, that's where they need to be. They need to be over there. That's what they need to do. I know there are guys that are out there that are like that, but it takes a lot to really, like, for a long time, I didn't consider myself a veteran at all. And I even had people question me, people that knew my military background. And like, I would wear a hat that would say U.S. Army veteran, just a typical, not combat veteran, not, OIF or anything like that, or, nothing, just U.S. Army veteran with the seal. And people would question me like, You didn't go overseas. You don't deserve to wear that. Okay, so what the fuck? Like, I'm just because I didn't deploy means that I didn't fucking sign my name up. Like, I was willing and ready for the entire duration of my career when I was in.
You were in the deck. It wasn't your fault you didn't get dealt in that hand.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah,
were
exactly.
at one point, and I don't have to explain myself to anybody, but, at one point in my career, like, we could have gone. There was an opportunity for that to happen. It didn't happen. We didn't get called for that service. So,
Well, actually, when I was in, they were it was early in Desert Storm,
mhm.
and they thought that they were going to need a gazillion bullet catchers like they needed in Vietnam.
Right.
So right out of basic, we had orders cut, we had all of our shots, we had all of our gear issued. They told us it's like, as soon as you graduate, you know, kiss your mom and dad goodbye because you're going over to the sandbox.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you know, I was 19. I was like, hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And we actually had guys in our, basic training unit that had been in Vietnam that they essentially came back and went through basic again because they thought they were going to get to go and fight some more.
Right.
And as soon as they rescinded our orders, there were all these guys in their mid to late 30s. And they're like, oh, my back hurts. I blew out my knee. Once they figured out they weren't going to go get to fight, they're like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
So that was kind of an interesting time.
Well, and stuff like that is probably the reason why the VA is so picky about who they give medical benefits to as well.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've actually never been to the VA and I'll never go. I've always been fortunate enough to have private insurance, and that's probably why I'm in as good a shape as I am.
I have been 2 times. I was going to try and follow up on a couple of things that I thought this seems, it's legit. I wasn't bullshitting. Like they gave me boots that were way too fucking small and that hurt my feet. And, part of it was my ankle and, hurting my ankle quite often. And, just being in boots and on hard ground and shit all the time and running in boots and doing, shit like that. And I went in to go fight it, and they were like, well, we'll build a case, but don't get your hopes up because you don't have a paper trail. I was like, well,
Yeah.
that was me being stupid and not going to the doctor when I should have.
Yep.
And just going, fuck it, I'm fine. I'll just push through and fucking, hooah and just move on. But
Yeah.
I went to our local VA in Cape Coral, and then they sent me to Bay Pines, which is, where the hell is that?
Tampa.
Yeah, Tampa. And I would do, I think I went there to do a physical no, there I went to do a hearing test. That's right. Because they couldn't do it down here for some silly reason. And I got denied on both claims, so.
Yeah.
Of course.
So we're going to switch over to Tinfoil Hat Corner.
Oh, boy.
Strap on your tinfoil hat. It's time for the Tinfoil Hat Corner.
Yay.
Which tinfoil hats seem to rub and leave a rash. Did you guys watch the debate last night?
I couldn't.
I watched part of it.
Me neither.
I couldn't come bring myself to do it.
I didn't watch any of it either, but I did see the clips and the photos this morning. You guys familiar with the Nova H1 audio earrings?
I know what you're referring to.
I wasn't familiar until today.
Me neither. This German startup company is getting a lot of promotion. Following yesterday. Go ahead.
I do love my bone conducting headphones, though.
I'm a fan of
those. Go up to like your temple or something, or like right around.
Yeah,
your
they
right?
sit right in front of your ear.
Oh, okay.
I'm a big fan of the Raycons. Anyhow, following yesterday's Trump-Harris debate, there were claims all over social media that the Democratic president and nominee Kamala Harris was wearing hidden earphones disguised as pearl earrings A tech product does not appear to be available for purchase. The claims say that Harris was wearing the pair of Nova H1 audio earrings created by the German startup company Nova Products during the first presidential debate between the Vice President and Donald Trump. There is, to date, no proof that Harris was wearing such earrings. You gotta admit, though, they look just like the fucking things. If you've seen the commercial video, they look exactly like them. Exactly.
I'm surprised that they didn't decide, hide them in a necklace, because I've heard she's much more familiar with a pearl necklace than she is with pearl earrings.
And that's interesting because I saw something similar about that on X this morning, and naturally all the bullshit has to go underneath of it. So I saw somebody pointing out the fact that Trump didn't have a scar on his ear because he just got shot 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they never showed a picture. We don't know if he got grazed, if he got pierced. I mean, I'm not a Trump guy, but
I think it was like a subsonic grazing or something like that. It shot past his ear and it split it open a little bit, and he was bleeding. I mean, obviously, to get that kind of a shot at the angle that he got it at, I mean, he probably would have grazed his head if he would actually clip the ear.
Well, plus, anybody who's ever been hit or had something hit their face, anytime you got an area of skin that doesn't have a lot of fatty tissue, i.e. your nose, your cheek, your ear, that shit just bleeds like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
But,
yep.
And plus, how can you tell? I mean, I assumed that he got hit on the top of his ear. His hair was still hanging over his ears. It's not like he went in there with a high and tight haircut.
Well, and even still, he was one of the presidents of the United States. I'm pretty sure he got pretty good plastic surgery to make sure that and he's also a billionaire. So I'm pretty sure his ear is going to go back to, it's not going to have much of a scar.
He's a narcissist too, right? So if he did have a scar that was noticeable from more than 4 feet away, he would get the high and tight haircut. He would fucking have him shine a spotlight on the damn thing and highlight it. If the guy's anything, he's a narcissist. And so if the thing was viewable from a distance, he would go do everything in his power. And then of course, CNN would just like have their video effect guy like blot it out before they streamed it. So you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you do anyhow. Real quick, one more topic I have on here before we go into your guys' topics. We've talked in the past about the frustration of parents and teachers and people in positions that the community kind of say, well, you're the adult, you should take some responsibility, or, you've been presented this obligation for safety and what have you. And then when a issue happens and you get the authorities involved, whether it's police or government or school or what have you, it just seems like there's a consistent passing of the buck. It's almost like people in authority don't want to be the ones who go on record of putting a child into the system or forcing some sort of permanent record scarring situation on them.
Right.
You call the cops. Cops say we can't do anything. Call these people. These people say, well, you got to call the cops. Like, no one wants to do anything. I'm not saying this is what happens here, but this is fucking crazy. Port Charlotte teen accused of killing his mother a year after his father's murder. A 17-year-old boy is accused of murdering his mother in Polk County just 1 year after being accused of murdering his father in Oklahoma. According to the Polk County Sheriff's, Colin Griffith killed his mother, Kathleen Griffith, 39, damn she was young, in his grandmother's Ardendale, Florida home on Sunday. During a news conference Wednesday, why is there a banner ad over the second line of the sentence? Sheriffs were called to Colin and his mother sheriffs were told there's like a banner ad for Park City Ski Resort over the second line. Called on Wednesday.
Sorry about that, folks.
Sheriffs were called to Colin and his mother had an argument about chores. Argument that many people have had with their kids since the dawn of fucking time. Going back to the day where, hey, clean up the Tyrannosaurus Rex shit out of the corner of the cave. You wanted the damn thing. Ooga, ooga. Go clean up after it. Shit's been going on since caveman time.
I'm glad that my kids didn't kill me for telling them to do their chores. Holy shit.
On September 8th, Catherine drove up to the home after Colin refused to return home. So they got in a fight over chores. He ran off to Grandmama's house, who was down in Key West on vacation. So Mom went over there to go scoop him up. Kathleen arrived at 4 p.m. when neighbors said that they saw the two arguing out front. According to witnesses, Colin grabbed his mother by the hair and drug her inside the house, as much as the aforementioned caveman would have done. About 2 hours later, PCSO received a call from Colin stating, quote, he had a fight with Mom. So they start this quote in the third person, but finish it in the first person. He had a fight with Mom. I think they meant to say, I had a fight with Mom and she is bleeding from the neck. End quote. PCSO said investigators revealed that Colin used a kitchen knife to stab his mother in the neck twice. Why? Because she asked him to clean up the fucking yard and take out the trash.
Holy shit.
I'm not sure exactly what the chores were, but I'm sure she didn't ask him to shingle the fucking roof. PCSO said investigators revealed that Colin used a kitchen knife to stab his mom in the neck twice, as we just previously said. Deputies arrived on the scene where they say Colin immediately told him, quote, I know my rights. I want my attorney. Colin was arrested and is facing a first-degree murder charge, Judd said. He was part of the Charlotte County Correctional Program. Colin said he had been part of the Charlotte County Correctional Program previously. So this kid has already been in and out of jail here in Charlotte County once or twice. He's violent.
Charlotte County or Polk County?
Colin was arrested and is facing first-degree murder charges, period. Judd said he was part of Charlotte County Correctional Program previously. So he got arrested in Polk County, but was also done some time in Charlotte County.
Oh, okay.
He's violent. He's dangerous.
Yeah, I think he lives in Charlotte County.
Yeah, I think, but he went to his grandma's house, must be in Polk County, and that's when Mom tracked him down. He's violent. He's dangerous. He shows zero remorse. Zero remorse, Judge said, adding, everybody that should be special to him in his life is dead because they crossed him. Judd also said that this is not the first time that Colin has been accused of murdering a parent. According to an affidavit on February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2023, around 1 p.m., deputies from the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office in Oklahoma, isn't that where the young writer, isn't that where Billy the Kid was from? Lincoln County? No, that was Nebraska. Sorry, I digress. Lincoln County Sheriff's Office, Oklahoma, received a call from Colin saying that he had shot his father, Charles Griffith. Colin stated that there had been an argument between him and his father, Charles. Colin claimed that the father allegedly pulled a knife on him and chased him throughout the house. Colin said he had been cornered in the bathroom by his father, Judd, so that's when Colin picked up a gun and shot Charles twice, once in the head and once in the chest. Now, if your kid shot your dead husband over an argument, would you demand that he do chores, or would you take the live and let live approach and say, I'm going to leave this fucker alone until he's 18. I'm kicking the fuck out of here?
I probably would have hired a yard guy.
Colin was arrested on charges of first-degree murder of his father, which were later dropped. The affidavit said there was inconsistencies with the evidence on the scene in the story initially given to dispatch by Colin. According to the reports, Colin was arrested for domestic violence previously after he was accused of beating up his mother. Colin's grandmother witnessed the incident and said it was not self-defense. Colin's in Polk County Jail after facing first-degree murder charges for the death of his mother. PCSO said they have asked that the state's attorney office prosecute him as a fucking adult. So let's rewind, review, roll back, and roll track. The guy shot his fucking father twice. He did the old mobster, one in the chest, one in the forehead. Double tap. Fucking straight out of fucking zombie, what was that, Zombieville, or whatever that movie was?
Zombieland.
Zombieland. You gotta do the double tap. Shot his father, beat up his mom, and was still not in fucking jail. Was still able to go home, fight with his mama about doing chores, and then stabs her twice in the fucking neck.
We got to take that little fucker out.
Oh,
His grandmother, thank God she was in fucking Key West. She's probably down there on like a fucking gay pride parade. Thank God
double
she's down
homicide.
there. Yeah. His father's dead. His mom's dead. Thank God he has no
Jeez.
sister or brother. Grandma would have probably been dead too, because Grandma probably would have stepped in and she would have got it twice to the neck.
yeah.
And if you look at this
This little-
mugshot of
this
this kid,
This little fucker's got to die.
you look at the mugshot of this kid, he's got the black frame glasses on like I used to wear, but it's very reminiscent of like a modern day version of the Vietnam era boot camp glasses. He has a high and tight haircut. He almost looks like it's very reminiscent of like the of
Coke
just
bottle Vietnam soldier.
he kind of looks like
Yeah.
almost like yeah.
Like Michael Douglas from Falling Down.
Yeah, similar. He has a high and tight haircut. He's got the plastic frame, and he's just got this sociopathic blank look on his face. It's insane. This kid should have never been out of fucking jail, especially you shoot your dad on self-defense charges. Okay, what have you.
So he claims.
Your dad's a dick. He's chasing the knife. But then you beat your mom up and arrested for domestic violence? I guarantee you, if you track down mom's phone records, there's been text messages between her and her coworkers, her and the ladies at church saying, if anything ever happens to me, it's this kid. I've been trying to get help. The system has let me down. What the fuck do I do with this kid?
Yeah.
It's
I
insane.
am not suicidal.
Yeah.
She's probably tried to get
Good
this kid
Lord.
put in juvie, probably tried to have him Baker acted, and none of it's available. He doesn't. It's insane. If I was Grandma Ma, I'd be suing fucking everybody.
Yeah,
Well,
I
that's-
wouldn't be surprised if at some point she tried to put a restraining order on this kid, and they're like, "Well, it's your fucking kid. How the hell is that going to work?"
And that's interesting too, because I know somebody that has been Baker acted a couple times and was put into an institution because his brain wasn't working right. And to get out, literally like 48 hours later, and fucking go cuckoo again. And the only thing that he had to do while he was in there was just say, I'm fine. Nothing's wrong with me. And that's it. And they fucking let him go.
Yep.
They let him go. They had no reason to keep him.
I know somebody was having a problem with their teenager, running away, busting holes in the wall, getting violent with the mom, ran away to a different county. Cops get involved. All they did was give a free ride home.
Mhm.
Explain what's going on, skipping school. There's no such thing as truant officers. There's violence and issues. Well, you got to call us at the time it happens. We can get them for domestic violence. Parents we want you to Baker Act our child. They need some help that don't meet the needs. You need to call X, Y, and Z. X, Y, and Z, call them. They said, we'll just call Cape PD. They'll do it. This goes on so many times. Cape PD, to prove a point, takes the child down. The hospital kicks them free an hour and a half later. And once again, after a while, you get the feeling that nobody in authority wants to be the one responsible for doing anything to children nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And they have free run, and they know this. And so now you have a child who knows, hey, I can leave the fucking county as a minor with a complete stranger, unbeknownst to our parents. And you know what the cool thing is? I can get a ride home without calling Uber.
Yep.
They don't arrest me. They don't take me to juvie. I just get a free ride home. I can skip school. They don't know the truant officers don't exist anymore. Don't want to go to school? Run away? Oh, cops give me a ride home. Cool, sweet. I can get mad, run away, sweat my ass off, be out in the hot sun for a few hours, ready to go home. Want to ride a nice air-conditioned car? Call it the Leo taxi service and get a free ride home.
Mm.
And like this woman, fucking husband was shot, killed by her son. She was beat up by her son. Somehow, This woman still had the fucking courage, the moxie to fight this kid in her mom's driveway over chores. Once again, if my kid killed my husband and then already beat me up once before, you know what? Fuck the dishes. I'm going to let this shit slide. As soon as you're 18, I'm going to have a eviction notice waiting for your ass. There's no way in fucking hell I would be confronting this kid.
Well, and
No.
isn't there, because I know kids can, emancipate themselves?
Yes, but in order to emancipate oneself, they have to prove that they can support themselves financially. In 2024, two grown-ass people making $110,000 a year can barely support themselves financially. How's a 16-year-old kid going to do it making $15 an hour making burritos? You're
But
not.
see, even then, I would be like, fuck you, get the fuck out of my house.
It ain't
Go
your
find a
choice.
shelter. Go fucking do something. I'm changing the locks. You can go fuck yourself.
And you know what happens to you as a parent for doing that? You get brought up on child abandonment charges.
No, he was abusive.
Tell that to this lady who got stabbed in the neck twice because she wanted to fucking mow the grass. But yeah, welcome to being a parent in 2024.
Yeah, it's all fucked. It's all sad. It's all pathetic.
You guys have some
It's
lighthearted content we can end the show on?
No.
Well, not really, but I've got more something a little less depressing.
In 2024, we'll take it. 2025, less depressing.
That's what 2024 was supposed to be.
Yeah,
That was
well,
last
it's
year's
not
motto.
It's not sunshine and buttercups by any means.
20.
but-
We should make T-shirts that says 2025. Same bullshit, less same taste, less filling, or same bullshit, less calories.
Oh my gosh. So I got a couple things actually today while we're recording this.
9/11.
It's September 11th.
Happy
And
birthday, Luke.
I just what's that?
I said happy birthday, Luke. My nephew was literally born 2 hours after the towers fell.
Good Lord.
Oh wow.
We'll get to that story here in a
So
little
like
bit.
I said earlier, today is my wedding anniversary. So the only year that I ever forgot my anniversary was 2001. And, my wife forgot it too, so I got a pass, but
Pretty good reason.
yeah. So,
Now it's easier to remember.
it's important. Well, it is now, but it was my day first. So, but I definitely want to take a minute and, let everybody know not to forget. I see it all around. I talked to a bunch of people today while I was at work, and it definitely, and I'm sure much like, D-Day and Pearl Harbor and all of these things that, as you get time and distance from it, it doesn't have the same impact that it did,
The day it
when it
happened.
was raw and new. So I think it's important that, we all take a minute at some point and remember, the 2,977 people and the 343 firefighters and the 71 cops and the dog that all lost their lives that day.
Yeah.
So, and slightly less depressing than that, Monday, we lost some royalty. We lost a Sith Lord, the King of Zamunda, and the Lion King
Mufasa.
when we lost James Earl Jones. So 93 years old. Guy lived
Fucking
himself a long life.
93 years old. Good for him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I went through his list of movies. The guy acted for a really long time.
He did.
And are either of you familiar with the term EGOT or the acronym EGOT?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
So it's a term that every actor wants to get. It's you win an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. And he won all the awards. His Oscar was a Lifetime Achievement Award. So the LA Times said, James Earl Jones, go pound sand. You don't get the title. But, you know, I think if you get a Lifetime Achievement Award, that counts in my book. But
here's all you need to know about Hollywood.
Yeah.
Here's all you need to know about Hollywood. The Hollywood Walk of Fame. You're required to pay for your star and to pay for the maintenance of your star. That's all you need to know about Hollywood.
Yeah.
Well,
Nobody
now
gives
you
a
can-
Congratulations. Here's the invoice for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But just real quick, when you think of James Earl Jones, what do you think of? What movie? Or
Coming to America.
oh yeah, yeah. So, I didn't see it up until a few years ago, but I don't know. It's probably 10 years ago, maybe. Turner Classic Movies or whatever, or maybe it's actually one of the networks. I don't know. Anyway, they showed Field of Dreams
Yep.
for Father's Day,
Yep.
and he was so good in that movie. It was incredible.
His character was, I haven't seen it as an adult, but when I watched it as a kid, the whole concept of the ball players coming out of the cornfield made perfect sense. His character to me was so weird. It just, at my 13-year-old mind, just couldn't comprehend the whole purpose of him being in that movie. His character.
Yeah, well, everybody says it's a movie about baseball, but it's really,
Movie
baseball
about
is
family.
a vehicle. Yeah, it's really about your relationship with your dad.
Yeah.
So, I guess maybe it was even longer than that, because it was shortly after I lost my dad that I watched that, which was, a big emotional mistake. So, but yeah, good flick. He was excellent in that. Of course,
Ray Liotta, a
My
young
first
Ray
expe-
Liotta in that movie.
yeah. Ray Liotta was Kevin Costner's dad. So, but yeah, good flick. Of course, my first introduction to him was, as the voice of Darth Vader. So, yeah, 93 years old, good long life, but still a big loss.
Good dude. Seemed like he was a very good dude.
Yeah. He was a soldier too.
Was he?
Yeah, he served during Korea.
Oh, okay.
Makes sense.
Didn't know that.
Before we wrap it up, you guys familiar with Match Game?
Oh,
Match
yeah.
game.
Dumb
Yeah.
Dora was so dumb.
How dumb was she? We used to play it a lot on Stan Haney, but if you got Roku TV, you can go and watch Match Game 77. As the name implies, year 1977. And Gene Rayburn's the host. I was talking about this on What's the Skull about last night. I won't redo it here, but I noticed one day he kept talking about airplanes, and one of the guests said, well, I fly the last Ford tri-motor airplane, and Gene gets eyes all big, starts asking about airframe time and this. I'm like, wait a minute, he's not just an aeronautics aficionado. Did some research. He only flew 89 missions in the fucking Pacific during World War II. But anyhow, you got Charles Nelson Riley on there, right? Charles Nelson Riley's fucking hilarious. If you watched a Match Game or you're familiar with Charles Nelson Riley, go on YouTube and look at, and I think I shared on my Facebook page the other day, The Life of Riley.
Mm-hmm.
Late 80s, he was asked to give a speech about his life in front of a Boy Scout troop. Turned out to be a 3-hour dissertation, which he then converted into a one-man show. And that video is one of the last performances of him doing that one-man show in 2007. The guy was doing voices on SpongeBob in 2005. He was born in 1932. This dude had seen some history. Go watch this one-man show. He talks about growing up in the 1930s His dad worked for Paramount. His job was to make the posters and the backdrops. He was an airbrush and painter. And had a meeting with this guy one day. Guy said, hey, I've been working in black and white. I really want to get into color. I love what you do. Come move to California. You can be my business partner. Ground up, ground floor. Charles' dad went home, talked to Charles' wife, who was a real ball buster. The through line in his presentation, for those of you who don't know, Charles Nelson Riley was an openly gay actor in the 50s, which was not, welcome. He actually talks about his first interview with the CEO or the president of NBC told him, we don't allow queers on TV. Dude ends up being super famous for being on TV and movies and doing plays, and became best friends with Burt Reynolds to the point that Burt Reynolds gave him his house on Jupiter Island that him and Sally Field used to own. But he's talking about growing up in the 30s. The through line is his mom was real good at making enemies in the neighborhood because she was super racist. She always yelling kike out the window and Dago and WAP and this and that. And so the through line is well, we got my mom's baseball bat and went down to the movies. And so the joke is anytime she went somewhere, she had to take a ball bat because he's just convinced that she's going to get hung before she gets to the end of the street. But he's talking about, so his dad went home to discuss this business opportunity with this man who wants to bring him on board. And she's like, no, our family lives here in the Bronx, Mr. John Riley, you and your crazy dreams. We're not uprooting our family, moving to California. We're here in the Bronx and yada, yada, yada. The man that wanted to make his dad a business partner was a young up-and-coming guy named Walt Disney. And he's imitating his mom. No one's going to listen to, who's going to listen to a talking mouse anyhow? And he's like, the whole fucking world, that's who. And he's talking about after that, his dad became an alcoholic. And as so happened in the 30s, suffered a mental break, got the whole treatment with the straight jacket, went off to the funny farm for a few months, which took their life savings because you didn't have insurance back then. The shit was super expensive. They had to go move to Connecticut. He said the name of his address. I Googled it. This place is still around. It's still a shithole. Lived in a one-bedroom apartment with his mom, his aunt, his uncle, and both his grandparents. He's talking about how his aunt was the head nurse at the New York Metropolitan Hospital, but she had a real bad limp. And the doctor saw her limp one day, and she said, yeah, I fell through the ice as a kid, ice skating, and it's super painful, and I love being a nurse, but I don't know how long I can do this. I can barely walk. I can't lay straight. Don't worry, we have this fantastic new surgery. We can fix it all up. His aunt volunteered for it. It's this new surgery called a frontal lobotomy. She got the fucking lobotomy, completely destroyed her.
Wow.
So now here they are living in with his, she just sits in the room smoking Lucky Strikes all day. And so he makes this joke, here I am, this young gay man, and he didn't know he's gay yet. This is in the 30s. He's, a young kid, but they could definitely tell he was a little light in the loafers. He couldn't play stickball because he was blind as shit. No one knew. He just couldn't see the ball. So he would spend his time making dolls out of his mom's stuff. He's like, the neighborhood looked at me like I was the weird one. The kid who went home and ate dinner between his lobotomized aunt and his comatose father. He's like, I'm the fucking weird one.
Yeah.
And then he's talking about how they went to go see the Barnum and Bailey circus came to Connecticut, and him and his buddy John got tickets because they handed out flyers, and they got tickets up in the nosebleed seat, and his mom didn't want him to go because her and his dad was going to take him the next day, but no, he wanted to go that night, so they snuck off and went. And him and John got up to the bleachers, and John yelled, fire! He said the whole tent caught on fire. I'm like, okay. Hyperbole. Pause. Get out the Google. Connecticut, 1944. Barnum and Bailey. 169 people died. He was fucking there. Hit play. He starts telling the whole story about all the people. It's like, holy shit, this guy's seen some fucking history.
Yeah.
Then talking about when he started acting, he was in him and his Tuesday troupe with Ben Stiller's dad. Turns out Ben Stiller's dad met his mom at this. He named all these listed people who all went on to, as Morgan was saying, won Tonys, won Emmys, Oscars. He said, this is our roster. Every Tuesday at 9. The one thing we all had in common is we couldn't act for shit. And I forget the one person in his class, super famous. You guys know him by name. He's like, if I had to hear so-and-so and so-and-so regurgitating the brother's line from Death of a Salesman one more fucking time, But this, if you like old Hollywood, if you're a fan of Charles Nelson Riley, if you just like history and you like to fucking laugh, do yourself a favor, go on YouTube, watch Life of Riley. It's filmed in 2007, so it's not super old, super dated. It's done on a play. It's a 2.5 hour one-man show, but it's fucking awesome. So if you're a fan of the Match Game, or you know who Charles Nelson Riley is, or you just like old Hollywood, you want to hear stories about Burt Reynolds and all these people, I strongly suggest that's my YouTube suggestion of the week. You know, get away from the politics and all the nonsense going on nowadays. Let's go back to the wonder years of 2007.
Free
The
bullshit.
70s when everything made sense.
Yeah. Carrie and I were watching Leave It to Beaver the other day on Roku, and it was the older years. It was like the last season when Wally just graduated high school and the Beav was like falling in love for the first time. And I'm like, hey, Mrs. Cleaver's kind of hot. Get out the Google. She was only 41. I'm 46. All right. Carrie's looking up Hugh Beaumont and seeing whatever happened to Wally. But yeah, it's like Match Game 77. You can't seriously. I was just watching before we came in here. It's like nothing. Burning through my YouTube videos that I'm watching. Just turn on Roku. Go to Match Game 77. The fun part is getting yourself in that mind state of what was popular in 1977.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
And one of the questions the other day was the cowboy was on his horse and the horse got scared and ran over the hill and stepped on his blank. What would you say, Morgan?
Well,
ran over a
what
hill
would I
and
say
stepped on
today?
his blank. No, 1977. That's the fun.
His Pinto.
I said Dale. He ran over the hill and stepped on his blank.
Okay.
Carrie's like, what the hell's Dale? I said, that was the thing. Over hill, over Dale. That was the answer because there was a comedy troupe, Hill and Dale. And so there's been a lot of time, like, so Carrie and I, you know, we like to, it's fun to see which one of us can get the blank right. And then there's some people, and it's so crazy too, because like, it's kind of creepy in some ways, because like the thing is like, oh, the actress's first appearance on the Match Game. Here comes G. Rayburn. Come here and give me a kiss. He like forcefully kisses all the young girls on there and shit.
Yeah, like when Judy Landers was on there. I mean, he was like all over her.
There was a redhead chick on there, and she had a super low cut shirt on and cleavage all spilling out, and he's standing behind her, and one of the other actresses is like, oh, I like how you look down when you're walking by her, and he stops and he's looking down, and she's like, what? He's like, you got to do something about those roots. Oh shit. But yeah, go on Roku, watch Match Game 77. You'll be happy that you did. The interesting thing is that on the live version, they have Match Game 78, and they completely changed the set and all different crew. But yeah, Match Game 77 is where it at. We want to remind you guys once again, head over to patreon.com, look for Digital 410, or head over to what'sinyourhead.com, click on the Patreon link, sign up and subscribe, get your name in the drawing for the $17.91 Everyday Carry gift pack, including all the items we mentioned earlier. Do us also another favor, head over to youtube.com, like and subscribe, and watch some more videos on YouTube. If you follow me on TikTok, if you follow me on Facebook, you saw a post that I posted today where I was recounting. I was at a World War II event last summer, and a friend of mine's son came to me and said, "Hey man, I found your YouTube channel. You got a lot of subscribers, but none of your videos have very low view count." And I was explaining to him that, well, that's because they're trying to compete with TikTok. All the shorts get pushed, and the long format shit doesn't. And I proved that inadvertently. I was surprised she didn't do it tonight. We got super lucky. Chloe has discovered around 6 o'clock the bunnies come out. So she sits in my front window and just ants and gets all crazy, starts barking at the rabbits and tries to jump up on the windowsill. And so I recorded her twice yesterday. One video was a minute long, posted at the TikTok. The other one was 3 minutes, posted at the TikTok. Took those same exact videos, posted them on YouTube. Anything under a minute, YouTube will post as a short. If it's over a minute, you cannot post it as a short. Doesn't matter if it's the same format, they will not let you. So the first video went to the short category. The second video went to the video category. Check this morning. Those two videos, same content, same format. One was 3 minutes, one was a minute long. The minute-long video had 789 views. The 3-minute-long video had 8.
Oh, wow.
So that goes to show you where the algorithm is at. So if you guys are getting annoyed with me posting my TikToks on YouTube, I have no choice. The irony is the long formats are the one that pay. You don't make any money off the short format ones. But anyhow, so head over to youtube.com, look for D410 Media. Please like, subscribe, watch your videos. And for myself, Mr. Mike, and Morgan, we will talk to you all next
This has been a Digital 410 production.
week.